Hey now, how is everybody doing? Welcome to Red Alert Diaries with Tanya E. Hood. I'm Tanya E. Hood, a wife, a mother, and an entrepreneur. As an entrepreneur, it simply means I've worn a lot of different hats in my life that have helped me develop a full range of strategies and actionable steps that I've used to help my clients make a strategic impact, both personally and professionally, to have better than what life has been giving them. Red Alert Diary is based on the life lessons from my premier book, Red Alert. Is He the One? The Pocket Guide to Finding the Love of Your Life. And if you read my book, you already know that I got married at 21. And after 11 years of marriage, I found myself going through a divorce, having to raise my two sons alone. To reset my life and survive my divorce, I took the time I needed to get to know me better, which opened me up to a new love again. So now I'm in a new marriage to the love of my life and my best friend, which just proves there is life after divorce. On this podcast, we have conversations that's real talk, marriage, divorce, money, and legacy. And I want you to join me on the journey. Call 240-532-2227. That's 240-532-2227. I want this podcast to challenge your thoughts and inspire you to grow. So together, we can operate in excellence. I want to ask a quick question. How many of you are mama bears like me or papa bears? The parents that want to make certain that our children know that they are loved. We are involved in every activity. We show up at every event. And so you sort of become the mama and daddy of a whole group of people. Well, that's an environment that I was kind of raised in with my grandmother. She was the one that was kind of like the grandma on the block. And then I grew up. I discovered that when you're in that environment, some pieces of you are always like, come on, let's make certain that they're okay. And if you have something that happens in your life that gives you a little bit of chaos and trauma, like going through the divorce wasn't something that I envisioned being a change in how I would mother my children. It didn't dawn on me that that traumatic experience in my soul was going to be a traumatic experience in their soul as well. And the mama bear in me didn't know how to fix it. The mama bear in me didn't know how to help them. The mama bear in me struggled to make certain that my children were okay. If you are an individual going through a divorce or a breakup of any kind has a similar effect, how do you keep your babies whole? How do you keep your babies safe? Well, there's a few things that I learned along the way. First, I had to really make a deliberate decision. You have to be intentional about truly showing up. If you are both mommy and daddy in that environment for your kids, we often have work take us away. There were some things on my job I just could not do. And there were positions that I did not take so that my baby could be okay. If it's just you, you're making decisions like that. We could have had a bigger place to live. We could have had more things that they could have been involved to do. I know they wanted to have some of their past experiences when there was a two income household. But when I became a one income household, I had to turn some of that off. So if you have to turn off something, show up intentionally in some way. What I often did with my boys was make up a game at home. If you're not the creative type to try to figure out how to create a game, there's a lot that you can Google or find out online, a lot of homemade activities. But because I was already raised in an environment at a time where there was no excess stuff that you can find on the internet, if you did not create your own game, you did not play your own game. So I already had a creative element about me that let me play games, create games. So I would take the toilet paper roll because you usually throw those things away. There's nothing wrong with that toilet paper roll. Just gather them together along with the paper towel rolls, that tube at the end, because you can do some creative things with your kids using those too. There's also some other things that we recycle. Take a look at what you're recycling. Some of the things that you're recycling, you're already sort of cleaning them off so that you can put them in recycle. Clean them a little bit deeper, make certain that it's a little more sanitary for your kids to play with later or to repurpose. What I often did lots of times with the milk jug is clean it off, dry it out, let everything be clear, and then cut it into different patterns and different things that I use. The paper towel holder or the toilet paper roll was usually the toilet paper roll because the toilet paper roll is about the right size to create cars. See, I have sons, and so I was always making customized vehicles. And I would take the paper towel roll or the toilet paper roll, and if it was the paper towel, cut it up so that they would have those things available. And I would get glitter and construction paper and pipe cleaners and clay so that I could make the wheels. And then I would use the cutout from the milk jug. That makes a great body for a car. So you can be really creative when you have to change your financial perspective because divorce often leaves you financially devastated. And sometimes we don't know what to do when we don't have the extra income. And sometimes we give ourselves the false impression that if we can't provide the extras, the bells and whistles that our kids are used to, that they'll miss out. I want you to know they will not miss out. They'll relish the time that you spend with them creating little cars, making little crafts. I found so many various ways to create origami ideas. I bought a book. That is a book that my son just really wanted for himself. He's really creative. And purchasing different things and mostly books because I'm a book, you can see, I'm a book baby. But that also let my children know that sometimes the marvelous adventures that we will have with one another will be found in the pages of a story. Because that's where I found my escape often when I was growing up. Find a good story and find what stories your children really like to read because you can maximize your time with them. You can have story reading time with them if that is something that they're interested in, or create some amazing reading moments to get them interested in telling a story. What I often did also, here's another thing that you can use, is what I call the alphabet song. Now, the alphabet song in my family was taking a letter of the alphabet and you string the words together. Now, we really didn't sing, but you say, there once was an ant, because it's A, walking through the woods, and he, so you pause, and then the next person has to pick up the rest of the story with the next letter in the alphabet. So they would start off by saying, there once was an ant walking in the woods, and he came across a bear. But, and then you pause, and then the next person picks up the letter. You see how that's going? That gives them an opportunity to one, find new words. I found my children going through the thesaurus and the dictionary so they could play the alphabet song. So if you are a parent that can't sing, don't worry about it because we didn't sing. It was really a story. But giving it a title to make it seem like it's fun, they really enjoyed it. And they got the opportunity to expand their knowledge with what they were learning. So school was better because they learned new words. And then they were intentional themselves about finding new activities that we could do together. I thought they would miss out on the fact that they could no longer go to those extracurricular activities that I paid for. When I pulled them out of Taekwondo, it looked like it was the end of the world, but I couldn't afford it. I thought that they would have moments of true depression when I couldn't buy all the video games that I once bought. But we still had the games that were previously purchased. We just decided to create new events and strategies with it. Here's one other thing that you can do. I got a timer, you know, the egg timer, the one that you can turn so that you can hear the tick, tick, tick. That egg timer became an activity to make things fun. So if you're a parent that has limited time, but you still want to maximize the time with your kids, you can use the egg timer. Set 30 minutes to it, and typically I use a 30-minute timetable because 30 minutes gives you enough time to spend with them, to invest with them, to hear some of what's going on in their heart. It was during a lot of those 30-minute moments when we were playing a game that I discovered that they weren't feeling so well about what was happening in school. I got clarity about my youngest being bullied, and I had to give him some ideas about how to walk through that. I got some clarity in that moment about my oldest not really liking his clothes, even though he went to a school that had uniforms. There were small little things that kids were doing or purchasing with their uniforms to try to give them some sort of distinction. But I couldn't afford it. I did the best that I could. But I also let my children in on some elements, give them age appropriate information about what's happening. They were fully aware that their father wasn't present. What they did not know was that the income was no longer in the capacity that it once was. So mama's doing the best she can. We got to buy groceries. We got to pay utilities. And when I went to the grocery store, I included them in on the journey because as a mama bear, I still got to teach them how to live life. And so I taught them how to look at the unit price so that they can gauge how much money we were spending. So when it came time, when I had the conversation with my oldest about the latest fashion, he was a little more understanding. I still heard his heart pull, but he was understanding and he made it clear. And I understood also as a mama bear that I was doing pretty okay by my kids. There are moments in your heart that you feel you are not giving them all that you can because of what used to be when you were married or with that other person that was contributing. And if it's not there, I need you to know that it will be okay. And so for today, if you don't remember anything else I shared, here's the one thing I want you to know. You have to take some time to make sure that you are whole, that you are okay, so that you can mother or father your baby. Give them some things that include you by being intentional. It's not about the toys, the materials, or all those various things. It's about you. What will you do to maximize that time? What will you do to help them feel assured in the changes and the pivots of what's happening in life? Because once you get that done, they will be okay. And if you want someone to join you on the journey, feel free to reach out to me. Go to my website, tanyaehood.com. There you can click under the Work With Me tab and see the various things and ways that we can support one another. And if you're on Clubhouse, I will not be on that platform tonight. I've got a couple of other things that's happening, but I want you to know that we usually meet up there to have an extended conversation. You'll see it on the next one so that we can participate in the conversation together, or we can start a new one. In the meantime, this is Tanya E. Hood walking in my purpose, and I want you to do the same.